So Fintech for us is, we believe technology has the ability of fundamentally changing the way people access financial services. We think that banks have fulfilled a certain role. However, in the mass market, in many emerging markets, it just simply isn't accessible. So it's driving either access or quality. So some companies we've invested in, some of you here might know a company called Yoko. They provide MPOS devices to small businesses. We invested in them in a Series A and a Series B round.
Yeah, so at Nedgroup Investments, in both the pre-retirement solution that we've developed and post-retirement solution, we've incorporated a lot of fintech. But what we've also learned is that you need that human touch. And we feel that it's not mutually exclusive. Robots aren't just going to take over the world right now. And what we found is that we generate better retirement outcomes and better client experiences by combining the two.
I can understand why it's scary, but it's scary in the same sense that the Industrial Revolution was scary. Anything that is this disruptive, and it is, the technology itself is going to be disruptive because of what it can accomplish, is scary. And I think there's an argument to be made that the Industrial Revolution itself led to world wars, right? And I fully expect there to be a lot of pushback on the societal changes that will be needed to cope with what's going to happen because of machine learning. So my personal opinion, and I'm asked to be an oracle here, is that we are going to have mass unsolvable unemployment. And this will just require changes to our financial systems. The reality is that it's not going to mean that there's not enough production to sustain the world, right? If these robots or these artificial intelligences are really good at producing things, there'll be enough for everybody. The question then is, how do we distribute it? And that requires a change in economic system, not a reduction in production that would result from us saying machine learning is out.
And I think the number I've heard, which again I can't validate this, is that right now for every job being taken away through technology, 1.6 jobs are being created. So again, I think it's shifting away maybe from physical manual labor into software development, which I think is going to be a huge focus for the next probably few decades still.
And I don't think anybody feels threatened, their jobs, surely they don't feel threatened that within Nedgroup Investments that by automating a process or by adopting new technology that their jobs are threatened in no way. I think we're just improving the client experience at the end of the day. So, for example, if you were to invest in a unit trust fund, you've got to fill out a 14-page doorstopper of an application form. And I see some audiences laughing. And then you've still got to do your FICA. But through technology, the client experience is improved with Nedgroup Investments. We have a platform called An Extraordinary Life, where you can do your FICAing online. And that's where technology is playing a huge role in the client experience.
So I think the jobs that we think are under threat aren't necessarily the ones that are under threat versus so we've got this idea that things that are difficult for us are the ones that are going to take longer for machines to replace. But that's not necessarily the case. So I'll give you an example. I think a lot of people, and potentially people in this room, are fundamentally employed to build models from data, right? This is a big industry in analytics. Actuaries in general, spend a lot of time doing this. And yet, at this point, right now, machines are better at it than people. So, that's the sort of job we wouldn't think is under threat, but it is.
The businesses we're investing in, I guess, it's slightly different. They're very much emerging market focused. So it's normally creating an industry rather than replacing one, or creating a product where there wasn't one in the first place.
But I do think technology has a big role to play in addressing some of the challenges we face in our economy. I mean, you heard the panels earlier in terms of responsible investments, unemployment, which you mentioned. If you think of a company like Sweep South and what they've achieved in terms of organizing an informal sector, which is domestic workers, they're now employing all domestic workers, more domestic workers, in a formalized manner with a standard rate of pay, with benefits, which they didn't previously have, and that's the use of technology.
Yes.